Going on, everybody? We are here for another episode of the Angler's Prescription. Tonight we have on a familiar face for good reasons because he is the king of the Delta in kayaks. Um, he won. What's up, Pua?
Hey, what's up, James? Thanks for
How you
having
doing,
me.
bud? Yeah, man.
Pretty
Another
good, man.
win. Another win on the Delta. So we have the final stop of the Bass Angler Magazine Kayak Series on the Delta. There was seven launches, I believe.
Yeah.
Approved launches. And yeah, dude. I know you kind of hopped in last minute. I know you can help yourself going out there on the Delta and doing your thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, those launches, some of them I'm familiar with, but uh it's not areas that I always go to because it's not close to where I live. So, or it's not as close to where I live. But I'm pretty familiar with some of those launches.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I had to work on Saturday for however a little over half a day, and then I had my son's football game to go to. So I was not there, but one of the launches was put on there because I requested Bray to put it on there. I was like, "Hey, dude, you gotta cover the whole Delta. Let's get us this one on there." He was like, "All right," which I know some people may or may not have launched from there,
Uh,
and but yeah, man, let's. So you pre-fish at all? Did you check any of these areas out? You going on history? What was the deal?
yeah, I did. So the area that I did pre-fish before off limits was the area that I ended up fishing, and it's relatively a new area to me, even though I fish like near it, which was down south, South Delta, and I just wanted to try it, and during pre-fish I didn't find much. But I knew that going into the tournament based on pre-fish, I was planning to really capitalize on that frog bite because that's what I found during pre-fish.
Dude, so did
But
you when'd you go? The weekend before?
shoot, not even the weekend before. It was like I think it was prior to the weekend, probably like a Thursday, I think.
I got you.
Yeah.
So I went
Because I
out.
Because I think it
Uh,
was the weekend before off limits was Labor Day, right? Labor Day weekend.
yes, it
Yeah,
was.
I didn't want to deal with that.
I did go out Saturday, which it wasn't bad, dude. On Labor Day weekend,
Hmm.
I did make it out there. I know where you launched. That's where I went and pre-fished, and I did find a frog bite. And I mean, granted, the tide was. We actually had a really big tide swing that day, and it
Hmm.
was like negative zero point 0.6 on low tide.
Yeah,
That was like smack dab. I think low tide was at noon. So it set up good for the frog bite. I mean, I struggled all day long till about 1 o'clock. I started getting on those, and it wasn't on the grass pads, dude. It was on the outer edges of it. And I could put like a foot off the grass pad, I'd get
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
If I
yeah. No,
was,
I know exactly what you're talking about because um, that's exactly what I adjusted to, and I did get a few key bites, but lost a few good fish doing that, fishing the outer grass.
yeah,
And yeah, the better bites did come off the outer grass.
yeah, I got to find the video, but man, I caught it was a 19 and a half, and it should have been a 20
Hmm.
to 21, dude. The tail on it was this little tiny nub. Like it
Ah,
was,
yeah,
it
I know
was,
exactly.
I
Like,
was like,
squeeze
I,
it, squeeze it.
I mean, it wasn't during a tournament, but I get it in the kayak. I was like, dude, where'd your tail go, bro? Like, you're a horrible kayak bass. Like, I don't
Yeah,
want you on kayak tournament day. I mean, I'll take it, but I mean, his tail was seriously like that long, and that was it. It was
yeah.
totally deformed, bro. But yeah, it was crazy, man. It was that outer grass edge, and like I'd fish it with the chatterbait, a swim
Mm,
jig, cranking, and I could not get anything to hit on the outer grass edge except that stupid frog. I
mm,
mean, I threw, I didn't throw tropical on there, but I did throw like a big walking bait,
yeah,
like a magnum size one. And for whatever reason, dude, they wanted that frog. It was weird. And I got a few fish to blow up on it in the grass, but they all seem to be smaller,
yeah,
you know. But those big fish were out on that edge. And I think I was on like the edge was 6 to 8 feet.
right.
Is that what you found?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And was that
Yep.
a morning bite? It's a tide. You guys had a low tide start of the day.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is so during the Derby, the tide swing was not it
It was
wasn't too
garbage.
yeah, it wasn't too significant.
Yeah,
But the good thing was there was moving water, so I think that turned on the bite for me when at least the tide was moving in. But I mean,
okay,
I was looking at the shoreline the whole day, and I was just like, Jesus, I mean, did this tide even come up at all?
yeah.
Um, but
So I think
yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
it was under a 2 foot tide, wasn't it?
yeah,
The swing,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I like that morning bite. It was fun. I mean, I caught a lot of 12, 13s, 14s, and some 15 inchers, but and there was a lot of them, and there were super vicious bites on the Chapo, but um, just nothing big until like I think 30 minutes before I actually put it down, and I stuck a good one that I had in the net, and it decided to do an
I saw
acrobat,
that.
yeah, and some sort of acrobatic jump, and it like it's funny because like I purposely edited that clip to put in slow motion to see the little mistakes that you can make. Because all I had to do was lift up the net once I had it in the net, and I think she would have been good. But
Yeah,
I didn't, yeah, I didn't lift it up high enough, which still gave her leverage to,
to
do an
get out.
acrobatic jump.
What,
Yeah, and
what
then
that'll put you at 100 or no?
yeah, that definitely
Yeah,
would have put me a little bit over 100. Um,
that big fish, man, 23 and a quarter.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because what's the guy's name?
Uh,
He took
Reed.
Reed,
Yeah,
Reed, Reed.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause he had 23 early in the day.
Oh
And
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I was watching the scoreboard all day, man. I had FOMO like crazy, dude. And I was like, man, you gotta be kidding me. And I just started seeing like Pua's running away with it. Yeah, I think Shane sat in second for a while with like 80 inches, and you're up to like 94 and some change. I was like, oh my god, dude, like that's gonna be hard to catch him right now.
Yeah, no. Once I caught the 23 and the 21, I kind of I started worrying a little bit because I was like, okay, I think if the bite's turning on for me, it must be turning on for everyone else. I mean, that's all you have to kind of always keep that in the back of your head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I really started fishing really, really hard after that because I just, especially guys that, sandbag, you just don't know what they have. So you just have to keep it consistent, keep it going. But I mean, it got really tough after that 21 and a quarter incher. It just like small culls here and there, and then like I said during the awards, I didn't get that 19 and a quarter until like the last hour and a half, which was a big jump in terms of total inches. So um, after that, I kind of just I was like, you know what, I've done all I could. I probably should take off. So I just called it a day after that with 40 minutes left to spare, I think.
Yeah, because you made a pretty long run from what I gathered.
Um, I covered a lot of water, yes. But a lot of my better bites they weren't too far apart from each other. They were, I want to say like, 20, 25 yards apart from each other, except for that 19 was pretty far. It was pretty far from where we launched. But it was just I have to say that I was lucky with The boat traffic. I didn't see a lot of boat traffic where I was at.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah, so I think that played in me getting the better bites, less pressure. But yeah, the morning was, I lost that one, and then I lost another one that, there's just certain areas where you just know, you're gonna get a good bite. And I had one fish kind of just come and pop at, just it knows that my whopper plopper, and then it took off, and I was like, oh my God. And then that was during the time when a bass boat came by, so I was like, gosh, I didn't really want to hook that fish, but then I needed that fish too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was so yeah, after that, just a lot of running and gunning. Like I said, I caught frogfish too, but man, they were small. And then just like after like 11 a.m., I knew I had to put the top water stuff down. Where I was at least had no wind. It was slick calm. The only thing that I had in my favor was the tide was moving. So I just did a lot of pitching and flipping after that, and that's where all my quality fish came from.
Were they in the grass? Were they in the wood?
They
A
were
little
in
bit
the
of both.
grass.
Yeah.
They were in the grass. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's like that's like the weekend before. I couldn't find a bite in the grass, and I was
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded. And there
It
was some
was.
clean grass too. I was fishing,
Yeah.
and the fish were on the frog instead of hitting on the outer grass edge. So I started punching the outer grass, the hydrilla edges. I
That's
could.
see. That was the part that I had to figure out, that I eventually did figure out after getting the 23 incher, was um, finding out what depth of the grass they were in, because once you flipped it back to the back, the shallower part of the grass, it was way too shallow. And
Mhm.
then like on the outer grass, it was kind of too deep. And it like, that's the thing with the delta, is you have to figure out where they position when once they're in the grass. They could be
Mhm.
in that outer, or at the edge, the shallow edge, or they can be in between that. So you have
Yeah.
to kind of, it's a lot of like needle in the haystack stuff. So um
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of grass to try to figure it out too. Because
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, we had that super low tide the weekend before. I didn't go to the shallow grass. So I'm
Hmm.
like, dude, it was hot that weekend, and I stuck to that outer edge and like maybe like 3 feet back in, and
Yeah.
I could not find a punch bite, and I was kind of bummed out, man, because I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So you caught them. So mostly Chapo in the morning, your
Yep.
Whopper Plopper.
Chopo and frog in the morning. I had a few buzzbait fish too, but those weren't quality either. And then pitching and flipping, punching. That was the deal. I mean, it's just the delta. It's like you gotta just fish what you hear. Because
Mhm.
if you want to catch those big fish, you gotta throw those delta baits.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think of BAM overall? You fished a couple of them this year,
Yeah,
right?
so I fished two events. I fished the Delta and the Rollins event.
Okay,
Wait, no, no, not Rollins. Tulloch.
that's right. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like I was telling Mark was saying, I kind of wish I would have fished most, if not all of them, but it's just most of the dates were, it just is, family vacations during the summer and stuff. It
Mhm.
just, yeah, it just didn't work out. But yeah, next year, hopefully, man, I can do the whole trail. But man, it's an awesome trail. It's an
It
awesome trail.
is.
Yeah,
I like. I mean, he's doing a lot of good things. I mean, the media coverage is awesome. Like you'll end up
yeah,
having your mug in his magazine,
yeah.
you know, and leaving the ramp, or in case you guys case whatever the boat shop you guys stopped at for the awards, you
Hmm.
leave that right then and there with a check in hand. Everything's
Yeah,
fine, all right. I mean, it's a pretty, I think, professionally ran good series that I'm looking
yep,
forward to seeing what they do next year.
yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
We got the no entry fee championship coming up in end of the month.
Yeah,
So pretty much everybody, from what I remember, anybody that goes is pretty well guaranteed some kind of a check.
yeah. I wish
So
I would have made that cut.
I know you needed one more event,
I
huh?
know.
Oh,
It's all right.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, guys, it's cool. I mean, 85% payback they did on Delta.
Yep.
So the money that is being held back, I think Damien, congrats to Damien for winning AOI on the inaugural season of this.
Oh, is it
Um,
finalized already?
yeah, the TLC is a separate deal.
Oh, okay.
Damien, from what I gather, is the AOI.
Oh, congrats,
Um,
Damien.
so he's going to get a payday for that. So that's part of the holdbacks they do. And
Hmm.
then the no entry fee championship, all that money is held back from the events to cover
Yeah.
that. So, it's a little tough. It costs a little bit more up front, but I think the bang for your buck by far is well worth it. I mean, payouts are good, and I
Yeah.
think pay down to what, 1 in 5, 1 in 5,
Yeah. 1 in 5.
1 in 5, which is really good. Ooh, we got a. What's up, Johnny?
What's happening, fellas?
How you doing, bud?
All
Hey,
right.
John.
How you doing, Pua?
Good. Good. You?
Could be better. Slow. It's
In
a slow
time.
process. Way too slow.
In
Yeah.
time.
Work out every day, and it seems like all I do is get more and more tired. Yeah. I'm getting there though. It's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
That's
It'll
good.
come.
Hey,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Hammer, Delta Hammer.
Right
Oh
place,
yeah.
right time, man.
Heck
I
yeah.
think the other thing I wanted to add to my day was catching all those dinks in the in the first, like, I don't know, 4 hours. I was kind of discouraged. I was going to leave my area. That was the plan, but for some dumbfounded reason, I decided to flip into a grass patch before leaving the area, and it just happened real quick. So it's just things like that can really just turn your day around. It's sometimes it was a lucky pitch, or it was just your random cast, and
You,
that
you
can
know what
really.
it is, Pua?
Huh.
The winner always makes the right decisions every
True.
time.
True.
So
True.
you make all the right decisions. You decided to do what you did, and you caught that one fish, and it keyed you in on what the fish were doing, and you went from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people would just like, oh wow, okay, but no, you took advantage of the right choice. You made an
Yeah.
adjustment, and good anglers do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Oh,
So Max had asked. Go ahead, finish your fish thought.
oh no, I was just gonna go into the story of the 23 and a quarter. I
Go for
I
it.
I should have lost that fish, no doubt, because when I pitched into that grass patch and she bit, she swam out to open water, wrapped the line around my Mirage drive. I was already like, oh crap, dude, I'm done. Quickly pulled out my Mirage drive, saw the line still taking off, and I was like, oh man, she is still on there. Reeled up the slack real quick. She came into the net. I was like, man, meant to be.
That was
Heck
just
yeah.
that was the 23 and a quarter.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice,
And
nice.
it was a nut cluster.
I saw the
Yep.
video of you in with the plopper,
Yeah, yeah,
and that fish hit right next to the boat.
yeah,
You
yeah,
really, when they hit that close to the boat, which they do that all the time in a kayak, a big
yeah,
bass boat, the fish high, they fill it, the water, pushing all the water and stuff. But in a kayak, they don't even know it's there.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that fish ate right there. Dude,
yep.
that fish was in the net. I was like, it's in the net. And that sucker jumped out. I couldn't
I,
believe it. I mean,
I was just telling James that fish would have put me over 100, but
easily, easily.
yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. It's just funny. Like I was telling James earlier when I did the editing for that clip, it's just you just see all those little nuances you could have done to make sure that fish stayed in the net. So it's just
Yeah,
lesson
dropped your
learned.
line or lifted
Yeah,
the net.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yep,
All the
exactly.
stuff you go through. And two, you learn from all that too.
Right,
It's
right.
a learning process. And
Yeah,
that for me, going from a boat to a kayak, that was one of the biggest things was boat positioning in a kayak.
Oh,
You know, you don't have that what do you call it? In the bass boat, your feet are planted on the ground. In a kayak, you set the hook, the boat moves 4 or 3 feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's no really good platform.
Yeah.
So you really got to adjust your rods, your reels.
Yep.
You got to do a lot of different things. Plus, you got to cast a certain way, and
Exactly.
yeah, it's a big learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So Max was wondering, he said, what's Pooh like to do when the bait fish spawn and there's a ton of small bait in the area? How do you approach the delta with all the small bait?
During the spawn and bait fish.
He said bait fish spawns.
Yeah. The bait fish.
Oh. So I did have a lot of bait fish in my area too. And I think it is it's very deceiving during a shad spawn. To be honest, I don't remember the last time I've seen a crazy spawn like that on the Delta. It's been a minute, and I think it might just be the past few years. It might have just been a location deal where they did that, but I mean they're all over the Delta this year. Um, and I think you just gotta keep your head down and fish your strengths because um, although it could be deceiving with all the shad, all the bait around, all the forage around for them to eat, I think there's still gonna be a feeding window. They're not just
Mhm.
gonna hone in on all those bait that's laying around everywhere because I didn't see that, quite frankly, where I was at. I didn't see them busting on bait. I mean, for the most part, it was stripers, but surprisingly, when I started changing over to, flipping and punching, I saw some some shad in the grass, but it seemed like they were keying on the crawdad because after I caught my first big fish, I started noticing that there were still crawdads on the grass. So I think it's a timing deal. It's still a timing deal for them to feed, and you can't let the shad spawn kind of discourage you. I mean, it really is discouraging to see all that bait fish around, but you still have to remember that there's still going to be a feeding window, and you just have to be at the right area at the right time to capitalize on those bites.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Sean was asking to say thought it was a win and you're in on the TOC. That is the case, but you had to fish how many events, Pooh?
3.
Three out
Yeah.
of the 4 events. Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny you say there was stripers in there.
Yeah.
So what I found on the Delta, when you have stripers, that's when you have the bigger fish, the
Oh
bigger
yeah.
bass.
Yeah.
And they kind of act like stripers in a way too.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
they'll feed with them, the big ones,
Yeah.
and not the smaller bass.
Yeah.
I always like
No.
to see, I always like to see the stripers in an area where I'm fishing with the Delta.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree because I mean, I have found areas like that too where there's just, a crap load of quality stripers and uh my area for West Coast Championship last year on the Delta, it was full of stripers, but there was
Yeah,
big bass around too. So,
right. Yeah,
you really have to pay attention to those areas where they congregate like that because just
hmm
because there's stripers don't mean that there's no bass there.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I used to striper fish on the Delta and bass fish, and it was funny. I had caught a 10-pounder, and my buddy caught one that was 11,
Yeah.
and we were striper fishing. Yeah, we caught him on LVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it really didn't clue me in then. I really didn't. I thought it was kind of a fluke. But after catching those two, and then fishing certain areas where we would catch the stripers, we'd occasionally catch a 5 to 8 pound largemouth
Yep.
throwing the punker,
Yep. Yep.
or the LB. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, of course. All right,
Right on.
gentlemen.
Hey,
Well,
you gotta
I
go.
gotta take off. Sorry, John. You came on and it's like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My computer's still jacked up. I'm using my phone right now, so I
Yeah.
didn't want to miss you.
No, you
Yeah,
guys are good, man.
congratulations, man. Good
Yeah. Thanks
job.
again, and thanks for having me on, James and
Yeah,
John.
for sure.
You bet, man.
All right,
All
man.
right,
Enjoy
boys.
your evening,
We'll
See you
take it
guys.
easy.
Have a good night.
Yep.
bro.
Thanks, Pua.
Yep. You're welcome.
Sean said, "What tide was he fishing on, or did it matter?" I know, John, the tide that we had that, or Sean, the tide we had that day was it was low tide at 4, like 4 something in the morning. It was low tide, and then oh man, I don't remember 10 something was high tide, and that was low tide again at 3:30. It lines out. It sounded like he was catching them a little later in the day, so that would have been the high
A hideout going.
outgoing. Sounds like what it would have been where he was catching his bigger fish.
Yep.
Um,
That's correct.
yep. Johnny,
Yeah, I got something to bring up.
you got something to bring up? Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is going to make a lot of sense, really. You know, the Bassmasters and the MLF, they have all these anglers, the EQ anglers that qualify for the elite, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, all these anglers pay like $2,000 for each tournament, or even more.
Or more. I think the opens are
2,000.
25.
2,000.
Change? Is it 2,000?
Yeah, the EQs are 2,000. Yeah, I don't know what the elites are, but
I think they're like 45. I think.
yeah.
Somewhere around there.
You know, as a group, if the anglers were to say, look, you know, we give you the show, we bring on the sponsors, we all have sponsors, Bassmasters, MLF, you know, they all have, and the FLW, they all have sponsors. Now, all the anglers pay to get in these tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like the elites, they should be ran somewhat like golfers. So golfers, they have where they don't pay to get in the golfing tournament, but if they win, they get paid.
And a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of money, exactly. A lot more than the bass guys. And then two, if they don't do well, they get pushed out and then have to requalify, which I think, you know, in all these sports, you know, fishing sports and the golfing sports, I think that's how it should be. You know, football, basketball, baseball, it's a little different. But golf and fishing, you can kind of relate those two together. So what I'm getting at is, if all these anglers, EQ anglers, elite anglers, MLF anglers said, look, we're not going to pay you nothing, and it's going to be free entry, which it should be, right? I could definitely see the elites and then the Red Crest, MLF or whatever, you know, those two should be free. And then when they make, you know, a check or whatever, they only get like $100,000. Now, for an EQ guy at $2,000 tournament, 9 tournaments, so they got $18,000 in just tournaments, fees.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't count fuel, accommodations, you know, travel, all this other stuff.
40 to 50,000 a year to try to fish the opens.
Yeah, at least, and that's all coming out of their pocket. And if they win $100,000, they're still backing up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're really not making any money.
I mean, they win one tournament on the opens that covers their season, basically.
Yeah, but there's only 9 people that could do that.
Exactly.
Sadly enough, only 9 people.
I think part of the problem with the opens, though, John, is they don't televise it. They don't stream it like they do.
Yeah, they do.
They do on certain ones. They do, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but not all of them.
They'll do Thursday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah,
I know- I
on
know-
FS1.
Do they do all of them? I know, well, I know about like Bass, the website, they don't do, like, I know you follow the opens, you follow the leaderboard, the bass track and whatnot. Get out of here, dog. And
They actually
whatnot.
have it on televised on FS1.
Okay.
The EQs, yeah.
I
So
knew they did it, but I thought it was like certain ones that they would do. They wouldn't, I don't remember,
all of them.
unless it changed. Okay.
Yeah, all of them. So you know, let's just say you and I were fishing the EQs or the elites, and then you know we get all the anglers together and look, we're not going to pay them a penny. They're going to pay us. You know what I mean? And I'll guarantee you, things would change if no one showed up. Right? If nobody showed up for the tournament, their heads would spin. You know what I mean? And they would start freaking out because there's no anglers. They got 200 EQ guys, I think 100 elite guys, and you know really that's only 300 people, you know, and some of them fish both, and it would be easy to get all of them together and stand there and basically, you know, it would be kind of like a strike, but yet it's not a strike. You know, you would demand, look, you pay us, we'll fish your event. You don't pay us, we don't fish your event.
I get that. And to play devil's advocate, I don't think they have the non-endemic sponsorship to pull that off. And there's so many people that are trying to make it that if say the elites said that, I guarantee you there's going to be 100 guys in the opens that would say, we'll go fishing.
Right,
You know?
but you would have to, they would all have to get together. And
They would, yeah. I mean, in essence, yeah. And like Max said, there's not enough drama to keep the attention of the non-anglers. And you know what? That could be half the reason why all this live scope, no live scope, forward facing this, forward facing that. You know, in essence, it could be, you know, some guys obviously strongly disagree with it. Some guys live or die by it. But I mean, it's garnishing attention to the industry, to the tournament trails. And there's the drama that's been going on for the last year. I think in part, a lot of it has to do that, trying to bring that attention to it.
Yeah, it's all about sponsorship money. You know, if you don't have people watching it, the sponsor money is going to go away.
Like the NPFL, they banned live scope.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to watch that now to see how these anglers are doing without it now that they've had it forever, right? MLF, there was it like one period they allow you to use it, another one they don't. And it's like a whole rule. Like that's got to be a pain to try to
police all that.
Yeah, police all of it. Follow them. Yeah, they have the officials in the boat on MLF that weigh all the fish, but that's just that's going to be, you know, the guys that have to adapt to it. So they're going to be, is this live scope period or no? Is this you know, what can I do?
Right.
You know,
right.
It's really going to make them change. I mean, obviously change their strategy, but also, you know, they really have to remember where they're at on what they can and can't use at the time. And then Bass, I think Bass did all right. Like, use it. We're going to give you one transducer, which is great. I get why these guys are using these 4 or 5 transducers.
2 in the back, 2 in the front.
Yeah, and they're doing the saltwater ones where they're getting able, you know, clear view on these fish 200 feet away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where I get, we don't need all that. I mean, that's a little crazy. But you know, roll the one on the transducer. You know, and I get limiting the size of the screens, which we talked about this last week with Nick. You know. It's a safety thing for, like, you know, I was telling everybody we were out on with a buddy of mine on Folsom, and there's a kayaker out there, and you can barely see him. And then right after that, I didn't mention this, but we're cruising down the lake. I was like, dude, what is that? It looked like a little rock pile. Just barely see it on the water. It's 2 people laying down on their paddle boards in the middle of the lake.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, you could barely see them stick, you know, off the top of the surface of the water. I'm like, in the middle of the lake where all these ski boats and
Right.
wakeboard boats. I'm like, why would you do that? Why not stay close to the shore? I mean, they were way offshore, hundreds of yards offshore, just laying there. Now I was dumbfounded why somebody would do that, but I could see the limiting of the screens, for safety purpose for sure.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah. I think they're doing that more towards the viewer watching the events, and apparently they're losing numbers, but they haven't actually showed the numbers before and after. Meaning,
No.
2 years ago or 10 years ago, the viewership compared to what it was this year. And yeah, last night I got insomnia really bad, so 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm up watching the elites, and the guy's standing there, looking at his screen, casting towards the blob, and it's kind of cool to see how the fish react on the screen, but it is kind of boring to watch the fishermen compared to seeing the guy run the bank and throwing top water. You know what I mean? I mean, I'd rather see someone catch a fish on top water, than
And
I would.
I get it, both aspects, right? It's definitely more entertaining. But I mean, look at the century belts they've given away. I mean, they had 10 of them in
One.
a fort, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to see more of? Do you want to see more big fish getting caught, whether it's on a jerkbait, a minnow, flipping, punching, frogging, top water? Do you want to see these guys, landing these big fish, or do you want to see somebody fishing the bank with a square bill because you can watch them throw a square bill, right?
Right.
Casting and winding, just a little
Same thing.
same thing, right? You're casting and
Yeah,
winding a minnow. You just a little slow presentation, a little shake, and then they got them on spinning rods and whatnot.
And it is cool watching them hit, the screen and see how the fish react to it. I think that's cool. And, does it make an angler better? I think it has the angler basically learns more about how fish react to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, watching them, what they do now, they're better compared to what they did before, what I thought they were doing. It's changed it quite a bit. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I think bass and the anglers need to go and readjust. And I think one of them is telling them, look, we're not going to fish it unless it's free entry.
I think it's going to be a really uphill battle for that, given how many people are willing to sell their souls for a 25% discount. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For pro staff, and it's like,
I mean, you got your boat, and then you got the cameraman, right?
Yeah.
However, it would come down to, it's like a picket, it would come down, even though you don't have a union, but you could have a representative go in there and say, look, this is, as anglers, this is what we decided.
yeah,
You meet our criteria, and then we'll fish your events. But, I think it's kind of ridiculous that the elite guys pay money. I think it's ridiculous that the EQ guys have to pay money, and then, what would make them qualify like the EQ guys? You get 200 guys. Well, maybe you have to have some type of, you'd have to have some type of you have to do this, or you have to have this, or, you know what I mean? Or you have to won this, or, or you know what I mean? You'd have to have some type of criteria to make it, so yeah, you could be considered an EQ guy instead of like me coming up with $60,000, right?
Yeah, and you just hop in there and go fishing.
Yeah, tow my boat back east and fish it.
I think one way, if you look at it, this way too, right? So your EQs can consider it like your college football team, right?
Right.
Where you'll either A, have a scholarship to go play, or B, you're taking out a loan and you're paying and you're going to school, or you got family money and you're paying to go to school. But once you make it through that point and you get drafted and then you go play in the big leagues, now you're getting paid. I could see how the EQ process and the invitationals and stuff like that could be a pay to play type of thing.
Right.
But I think the top level for sure, whether
Should
it be the elites, MLF,
Red Coast, yeah.
I think that should be like your big league. That is your big league.
Yeah. Yeah.
That needs
should
to
be
be where you get paid to play, not
Right.
paid to play. And I think,
Right.
but a lot of it stems with, right, like you don't have teams, and you're not having owners paying, KVD to go be on his team and fish, right? You're not
Right.
having. You got to have the sponsorship money, and the non-endemics to pull that off, which they don't have yet. They've got a lot of it, but it's also spread over a very wide. Garmin's still sponsoring this, BAM
Right.
as they are doing MLF and Bass, but it's granted it's at different levels and whatnot, but they gotta try to work something. Like that's the thing, is there's so many things that everyday guys use that are fishermen, right? Like a tractor supply, a Home Depot. I don't know, how
Yeah.
aggressive Bass is going after stuff like that to try to get those sponsorships to where
Mhm.
they can garnish something like that in the future. But it's going to take something like that, like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or it's
Yeah.
to take more than
Yeah.
a Bass Pro Shop. You know what I mean? To be able to pull that off.
Yeah, they
I
have
think
St. Croix right now.
Yeah.
St. Croix is a family-owned business, basically, and it's stationed here in the United States.
Yep. Hey, give me
Yeah,
one second, John.
And how much money do they actually, pay the Bassmasters? Do they give them 50 grand or $100,000? And let's just say, even if they gave them $100,000, you would need several sponsors to pay that $100,000 to pay for all the Bassmasters,
Yeah.
overhead and stuff like that. But they could do it. They could do it. It's like the golfers, the professional golfers basically show up and they play golf. And how is that? Well, they're on TV, and
But there's
then,
also, there's a bigger following for golf than there is fishing, hands down, especially bass fishing. Right? It's
Right.
such a niche of the sport that it's hard to
the
go to a
percent-
big company and say, "Hey, look, we have 100,000 viewers, right?" Or whatever the case may be that fall. I'd like to see what the average number of viewers are for an FS1 show as opposed to the guys that are watching Bass Live and whatnot, to see how many viewers they are, right? Monday Night Football's last night, 20.5 million views, right?
Right.
Like, we're not getting that, but it'd be cool to see what the views are, how many overseas views they're getting, because
Yeah, some of the stats. We need the stats. Look at the stats. Right.
I think that needs to be what's looked at. And see how they can pull that off and make
Right.
that work.
Yeah, just like for instance, like Tiger Woods, right? So I play golf, and there's a lot of people that play golf. I think the fishermen, I think it's only like 4% of the population that actually fish.
Mhm.
And that's all fishing, not just competitively. I'm not sure about how many, what's the percentage of golfers, but if you look around, there's a whole bunch of golf courses, available to golf at. And then, they have all the different types of clubs, to go with it and stuff. So, as a golfer, professional golfer, when you walk out there and you're wearing your Callaway, or for instance, like Tiger Woods and his Nike ball, when it barely dribbles into the cup, and that Nike swish showed for a second, and then it fell into the cup. How much? I mean, think about it. The Nike swish was on TV. It was like one of the best shots in the world, right? And Tiger Woods did it, and it made a difference between him winning or losing.
Mhm.
Now, for him to show up in golf, he's not like he was,
No.
So now the thing is, though, he still gets a lot of viewers just because who he is.
Mhm.
So again, if you cross it over to the fishermen, do you want to watch KVD? Do you want to watch Greg Hackney or Jason Christie? I don't know who these new people are. I really don't. So and again, when they did the split, basically MLF stole all the elite anglers, right? And I'm sure Bass was pretty upset about that. So, but yet they're still going. They just lost a lot of their good anglers that were well known, that brought in sponsor money.
But a lot of them have come back now too, though. I mean,
yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, and then too, it's the same thing. It's you qualify. If you don't perform, you're out. Then you have to requalify, and that goes for the elites. That goes for MLF now. They're only got like 50 guys, I think, or 60 guys.
I can't remember. They've changed it so many times in the last year.
They keep changing it too. Yeah.
And that's a huge problem too, I think, man, is they go from every fish counts to 5 fish limit to every fish counts. Now we're cutting half the field. Now we're only cutting a third of the field. Now we're doing that. It's like, dude, you guys got to stay on course. And if you believe in it, stay in it and roll with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're doing that for the sponsor money. It's way easier to watch 50 guys than it is 100. And it's the same with the golfing. There's basically, I think there's like 300 professional golfers, or 500. That's it in the whole world. I mean, the whole world. That's it. So it's kind of crazy to think, and again too, now they only have 50 there. They have 100 elite guys and 200 EQ guys. Could you imagine going to a lake, Clear Lake, 200 kayaks on Clear Lake, and you get to free fish for a whole week? Everybody would beat everything up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then people would find all the juice, and then you would launch on tournament day, and you get 200 guys. You got 30 guys in one little spot. You know what I mean? And you can't fire up that big 250 Yamaha and run it across the lake. You're 5 to 7 miles an hour. You know what I mean? So either relaunch or, I mean, it's a little bit different, obviously. But again, like you could even do a kayak professional league, right? And do the same thing where they don't pay any fees. It's all sponsor money.
I think we're a long ways away from that. I think
right. Eventually,
the organization that has the clout to do it, I think if Bass would have a kayak elite series, I think they could pull it off. Right. But it's trying to get the commitment of, say, 50 kayakers on the national stage that have the funds, that have the ability to do it for a living.
Travel, yeah.
We don't have that in our sport yet. You've got a handful, that could do it, and I think we're probably a few years away from
far away. Yeah. But yeah,
which would be awesome. I mean, it'd be awesome if they could do it and they could get the sponsorship money to do it. But
if I fished the elites, I would get everybody, have a meeting, right? Tell them, look, this is what we're going to give them. and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And if let's say the next tournament is like next week, right? Yeah, you got to pay ahead of time for all this. As a matter of fact, you got to pay a year ahead of time. So the very first tournament, you could just say, hey, look, no one's paid, right? They're gonna start freaking out, and you have a representative or two or a team of people who go in there and talk with them and say, hey, look, this is what we want. Now I'll tell you what, things will change pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
They would change pretty quick, and there's power in numbers. You know what I mean? And are they going to tell all 100 guys, you know, you can't fish it? You're banned for life or whatever? Good luck on that. We'll go someplace else. You know what I mean? And then, you know, good luck getting, you know, qualifying for the leagues now. I mean, you're going to have to pull some people out of the hat. But again, you'd have to have the cooperation of all the anglers, and they'd have to all agree to
It's
it.
all the anglers, and it's having the sponsorship backing more than anything to pull it off. I just don't think the sponsorship backing is there from enough companies to make bass fishing and not a pay to play thing.
But again, the winner only gets 100,000.
Yeah.
You know, top 50 get 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you add all those numbers up and stuff, and you see how much, you know, all of them, all 100 paid or all 200 paid or whatever it is, and you add all that up and you subtract it and all that, which I haven't done, it may come out to really close amount of the same amount of dollar money, and then, you know, it could be where all that money that's paid in is paid right back out, or the majority of it, you know.
Yeah.
So, and again, when you go to the table, you don't just have, you know, this is our demand, this is it. You know what I mean? You have to come up with a couple different ideas. You know,
solutions.
Right.
Yep. So you fished majority of BAM this year, John?
Yeah.
I asked Pua the same thing. What did you think of BAM? What are you looking forward to next year? How are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, you know, I like their ideas and stuff. They have some really good ideas. I think right now, you know, BAM's a circuit to fish. It really is. I mean, every penny, you could see every dollar amount. You can count it all up. You know, and at the end of the day, you get paid. You don't wait. You know, that's another thing too. And two, you know, with Bass Anglers Magazine, you get a lot of recognition throughout the United States. You know, with you know, another, you know, around the world, you know, everybody gets the magazine. You know, it's good for the sport. You know, it's the next step in order to make things happen. And how do you get sponsor dollars? That's how you get sponsor dollars.
Yep. Hey, just remember this, guys. This mug could be in that magazine. Yours can be too. Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Right? No, I agree. I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to the TOC coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna regretfully miss it.
I know.
I'm not allowed in a kayak by myself until January.
Can I get a approval to tow you around and be your fishing companion to make sure you're on the water?
I don't think you'd want to tow me around. I'd start catching all these fish and be like, I heard you, I'm cutting you loose. No.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's an idea. I've thought about that. Trust me. We'd have to stay real close by each other, and you know. And then right now, there's no way I'd do it right now because I couldn't self-rescue. I'm actually still that weak where I couldn't pull myself up in the kayak. And
you got a life jacket on, John. I'll tie a rope to the back of you and drag you back with me.
There you go. Tie it around my neck.
Keep your head above water.
Hold on.
John, we're only doing a mile an hour. You're too much drag. I cut you loose.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, look at this rod I found.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Right on. Oh man.
Alright, bro.
Yeah. I think we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Don't forget to go visit Headwaters and say hi to Brian, or the Winter Rancho say hey to Steve and Harley. Hookedforlife.com, hooked44, all capitals, save 10%. Free shipping over 50, super fast shipping in the area. Sean could tell you probably a thing or two about that as well. He's still out there. But yeah, I don't know what's in store for next week. We'll have something for you. We'll keep an eye on Instagram, the English Prescription on Instagram, and either my feed, John's feed, Shane's feed. We'll get something out.
We got one more thing too.
No.
Yep. So
What's up, John?
let's see. There's 4 anglers, USA, Team USA kayak.
Oh yeah, they're fishing in
Italy.
Italy.
They're in Italy right now, and we wish them the best of luck. And I think today was day 1 of practice. Tomorrow's day 2, which is I think tomorrow's today.
Yeah,
It's like
something
9
like that.
hours.
Yeah.
9 hours different. Check Western Bass. I got their pictures up and put a little article on there. I asked the guys that I had their information. I texted them and I asked them if they would, give me a little bone about, what's your game plan and so on and so on. So, as an angler, we all know it's hard to do that. To spend 5 minutes away from being focused on what you really need to be focused on, unless someone goes there and actually shoves the microphone in their face and then they ask you a question. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of hoping they'll give us a little juice. And
Nice.
soon enough, we'll find out, the winners, and then after that we have U.S. Team USA kayak in
South Carolina.
South Carolina at
Murray.
Lake Murray. Right.
So
we're gonna,
one of our very own is in Italy right now.
yeah,
Good luck to Mr. Damien.
yeah,
And then he's coming back home and he will be fishing South Carolina. So that boy is traveling, and I wish him the best of luck. And
right.
I know he doesn't need it, but he's going to go out there and end up killing it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, he'll hammer him. You bet. Yeah.
Oh, hammer towel.
Cody, Russ, Damien, and the team captain, I think, is Steve. So Steve, I don't know Steve's last name. Cody Milton, Russ Snyder, Damien Tao.
Yep.
So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, guys. So keep an eye out. Take a look at that. I don't know if they're using TourneyX back there. Or are they using the other app?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think they do a little differently.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll stay updated with keep an eye out. So, guys, thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Best of luck to Team USA. Let's bring home the gold, and even better luck to Damien. I'm gonna root for you selfishly. We got to root for Damien over the rest of those guys. Russ is no longer a California guy. He's a traitor. So. Oh man,
Russ is a good guy. He is. He's one of those guys that, like Damien, he can make a living at fishing, kayak fishing.
So
yeah.
All right.